What's up, guys? Welcome to the replay. If you are catching this after the fact, if you're coming in live, welcome to you as well. If you're catching the replay, you may need to fast forward a little bit because I'm waiting on the folks that are here live. So I'm going to wait for a few more people to come in and then we'll get started. Hey, y'all. Good morning. How is everybody doing? Hi, Esther. Hopefully y'all can see and hear and everything because the sun be moving. So I'm trying to catch the good light, but I'm in the shadows right now. That's okay. Happy Tuesday. What's up, y'all? So a lot of y'all saw my story over the weekend, like on Saturday. If you're new here, some of you may not know, but I live in Mexico and we have a group of ladies that get together and walk on Wednesdays and Saturdays. And I posted a video from that walking group on Saturday, and a lot of you saw my story, responded to it, and everything. It was the one where we were running up the stairs singing the Rocky anthem. It was a vibe. I posted the actual full video on another platform that starts with a T. I don't want to say it, but if you want to see it, you can go check it out there. I may end up posting it here. But the reason I bring that up is because I have been going to that group for, I don't know, maybe like a few months now, on and off. I'll go to some of the walks. And every time that I go, it feels like I end up meeting a woman who needs my help. And it's just crazy. Um, so this past time when I went, I met this lady there. And y'all, just to kind of give you guys some context, like being out here in Mexico, I be really living like a double life. Cause like I don't really share like social media stuff. What I do, that's not really like my MO while I'm out here. I'm really trying to, be tranquil, all that kind of stuff. And so I'm not really ever in my bag to like talk about business or what I do. So anyway, I was talking with this lady and it came up that she was like, oh, if I could just get rid of my belly. That's what it was. She was like, if I could just get rid of this belly. So she started talking about belly fat and all of this. So we got into talking about body types and, how her and I had a similar body type because she was like very heavy chested, also had the belly. And if you guys have been on my live, you know that a few weeks ago we talked about body types and we talked about the endomorph body type. So she has that body type. So we get to talking about everything and come to find out there's like such a huge history with her and her trying to lose weight, which wasn't surprising to me because now it's almost like I can kind of look at people. I can look at how their shoulders are rounded or again, the belly. I can look at the legs. You can kind of start to see once you've done this for a while what people are struggling with. You can tell if it's insulin resistance, you can tell if it's some type of hormonal imbalance or something. So I really kind of knew before she said anything, but I was so happy that she just started kind of talking about it. So she had had like really bad periods and things like that, and she had gone through having a partial hysterectomy, right? That was the route that she ended up taking, which, man, I really hate when that ends up happening for women, because a lot of the times when you're experiencing these tough periods, you can feel like this is the only option. I actually remember going to my doctor and asking her for a hysterectomy. I said, baby, you could take this out, because I am child free by choice. And I knew that I wasn't going to want to have kids anyway. So I'm like, look, sis, really, you could take whatever, all of this out. I don't even need none of it. I don't even need any of it. But these periods are awful, because what me and this lady connected on was when she was telling me about how bad her periods were before she got the hysterectomy and what pushed her to get it. And I was just like, damn, like that was exactly what I was dealing with. It's like debilitating to the point that it's hard to go to work if you're on your period. Like it's a whole event. Like you feel like you need to call out, constantly needing to have, a heating pad. You know what I mean? Constantly needing to take some form of medication because your body is hurting. One of the things I remember the most is how my joints just ached. And I'm not talking about just from the weight, because this is even after I lost my weight, after I lost a bulk of my weight, and the joint pain wasn't just coming from being so heavy on top and not really having the legs to support it. it was coming from my hormones actually. So like my feet would ache. We talked about the boobs. Ladies, please, if you have ever had to take off a bra and you know that sensitivity that you get, right? When you're taking off your bra and it's like, ooh, it really, really hurts. Again, this is for my ladies who's ever struggled with like their periods and hormones and stuff like that. I hear this happens to ladies when they're breastfeeding too. So you kind of know what that irritation and that pain feels like. So we really connected on that. And so, of course, I had to tell her, I was like, girl, let me tell you what I do. Like, let me try to help you. So I pulled up my Instagram. I started showing her like my, my before and after pictures. It was so funny. She was like, my body looks just like that. She's like, my stomach is just like that. And I'm like, yes. I'm like, for me, it was hormonal. It can be so many different things. But anyway, I don't want to ramble. So I did take some notes to keep myself in line. So let's talk about belly fat. And I want to talk about belly fat and the connection to hormone imbalances, right? There are so many hormonal imbalances that can contribute to weight gain, especially in the belly area, right? For me, it was endometriosis. Endometriosis is a condition that generally is going to make you someone who's estrogen dominant, meaning that you're overproducing estrogen. And when you overproduce estrogen, you can start to store your weight in your belly. And that is what happened for me. This can also happen for people who have fibroids, people who have PCOS. Even if you have PCOS and you have the adrenal driven PCOS, which is different from what a lot of people recognize as PCOS, which is insulin resistant PCOS. But if you have the adrenal version, that means that you may be overproducing cortisol, which is your stress hormone. Stress is your driving factor. And this is how we find out about, oh, stress can make you hold weight in your belly. Cortisol is usually the culprit behind that. So that's just a little background for you guys to understand that there is a connection between belly fat and hormone imbalances. So what does that mean? That means that somebody could be working out as hard as they possibly can for months and months at a time and feel like this belly just will not move. Like I cannot lose my belly. Even if you feel like you're losing weight in your arms, your face is slimming down, your legs are getting toned, but the belly is still there. Two reasons. One, generally for a lot of people, especially if you're an endomorph, most of your weight is carried in the belly, so it is going to probably be the last thing to go. But also, if it just feels like the rate at which you're losing the weight in the belly is so much slower than everything else, this could be a sign that there is some form of hormonal imbalance happening there. All right. So, next, I want to touch on cravings and carb sensitivity, right? Because this was something else that she brought up. She was like, it was interesting because she said, I really cannot eat carbs. And she's like, if I eat a carb, I will immediately gain weight. And then she said something I really don't hear people say often, which was that even if I eat a vegetable, I feel like I will gain weight. And I was like, huh. I'm like, okay, so what exactly is going on here? So then she started telling me more, and I started getting some hints. And what it sounded like is previously, because of the weight that she was retaining in her belly, she was so desperate to lose the weight. And she had heard so many things about how maybe carbohydrates were contributing to that, that she completely restricted carbs. And she went on what she told me was a carnivore diet. So she was mostly just eating meat, basically. That went left. She was having what she called meat sweats, right? Where you have like this overconsumption of all protein, you're not taking in any fiber, and then you generally start to kind of sweat almost like those toxins out, depending on what types of meats you're choosing and how you're filtering that. And really, if you're going all carnivore, then you're not really filtering it. So anyway, that was one thing that she tried. One thing that you guys have to note is if you have ever done keto, if you have ever done anything where you have really completely removed your carbohydrates, your body is going to be a little sensitive to putting those carbohydrates back. That is not the same thing as you are gaining weight because of carbs. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Carbohydrates cause you to retain a little bit more water, which is not a bad thing, by the way, right? Carbohydrates also give us our energy. This is why when people generally will go low carb, they tend to be not in a great mood because they do not have those carbohydrates to really give them the energy that they need, right? So that's something that you have to consider is if I do low carb and if this is something that I'm trying to do long term, then I also need to think about the fact that once I do return to eating carbs, or if I have a little slip up, it's going to look so drastic on the scale. You have one little piece of carb and then you're up 5 pounds the next day. Like, what the hell happened, right? It's just the carb sensitivity. It's just you retaining a little bit more water. It's not necessarily the carbohydrate itself. Now, the caveat to that is we got to be for real, right? We got to be for real, meaning that if you are having ultra processed carbohydrates, right, all the time, that's the issue, period. Not because of it being a carbohydrate and that type of macronutrient, but because of the overconsumption. Or, like one of my clients said in her check in the other day, she said that she has figured out the difference between indulgence and overindulgence. And that was like a aha clicked moment for her, right? So it's the difference between that, between indulgence and a little bit of carbs, maybe something processed here and there, but then not overindulging on those things. So I think it's important for us to differentiate and understand the difference between that, because I do think that semantics and how we understand things in this process matters, because where the diet industry and the fitness industry is right now is a product of semantics and marketing getting us to this point. Are y'all following me? I hope you are. I'm kind of going off on a little tangent, but I'm not going to start getting into the fitness industry right now. Um, so yeah, we talked about carb sensitivity. We talked about cravings. Oh, well, we didn't touch on cravings too much. So cravings generally are going to be, a lot of times I find that cravings are driven by blood sugar dysregulation. And what I mean by that is a lot of people, a lot of women especially, will tend to get up in the morning, probably not eat breakfast, one, or two, eat breakfast that is straight sugar. So you go from a sleep state to a wake state, your body is dehydrated and probably wanting to have some nutrients. And instead of having nutrients, you either one, completely don't have anything at all, or two, you go and have a frappuccino that's 500 calories, right, of sugar. And there's no protein in it, there's no vitamins, there's no minerals, there's no nutrients in it. So it's literally as if you just ate sugar and washed it down with water or washed it down with milk, basically, right? So when you do things like that, you are creating this pattern with your body of constantly not having your blood sugar be regulated. When your blood sugar isn't regulated, it can change your hunger cues and make you feel more hungry. Okay? Does this make sense? Right? So it may not, the issue may not be with the carbohydrates, it may not be with, whatever it is that you think is underlying. Usually it's people think, oh, I'm not working out hard enough. It's probably with your meal timing, which is so important. So you want to try to, especially if you're someone who's stressed, yes, there are forms of fasting that works. Yes, I'm all for intermittent fasting for the right person. But generally for people who are following me, it's probably because of some form of hormonal imbalance. These are probably generally people who are very high stress, who generally do not tend to be candidates for doing some form of fasting like that. So for those people, what I would say is to wake up within an hour of waking, try to go ahead and get in your first meal. Make sure your first meal has a protein, a carbohydrate, and a fat. Make sure it's a full and complete meal that is going to keep you satiated throughout the morning. Okay. And then you could have your coffee, so that's another important thing. Make sure that you're eating, coating your stomach before you have your coffee. And then another thing that this lady and I were talking about was, of course, the emotional side of weight loss, the emotional side of trying and attempting to lose this weight so many times and just like never getting there, and like feelings of shame, feelings of inadequacy that are related to that. And it was just so interesting to talk to her, honestly, y'all, because for me, I haven't really in years kind of talked like that on a one-on-one level. Like, let me talk about my weight loss journey, versus where you are right now, because I have been so far removed and I lost my weight 10 years ago this year. It's not like something that I think about all the time, but she really made me go back, and she really made me think deeply about who I was in that moment and who what it took to get to where I am and to keep the weight off for 10 years. And then the other thing that made me think about that was, you guys know, yesterday I was finishing up an article that I was writing mostly about my weight loss journey, but they asked me to touch on the Oprah Ozempic special and things like that. So I talked about weight loss medication as well. But let me tell y'all what I said. Y'all want to hear? I just want to read this first part to y'all, if I could find it. Let me see. Dang, I may not be able to find it, but I'm gonna try. I may not be able to find it, but I'm gonna definitely try. But basically, in the beginning part of the article, I was talking about like where I was in the past, like what happened with my weight loss journey to begin with. And I was talking about how my life centered and revolved around losing weight. Like that was it. It was that it centered and revolved around losing weight until it didn't, right? Until I got to the point where I was like, oh, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this cycle again, blah, blah, blah. And then I would forget about it. I would live my best life and I would say, oh, I'm accepting my body the way that it is. All my family members, are built like this. All the women in my family look like this. This is just what it is. I'm from New Orleans. This is just how we eat. And then I would get to the point where I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. My body hurts. My knees hurt. And so in the beginning of the article, I was really, kind of setting the tone and talking about where my mindset was and where I was in the beginning, which is something that I feel like I have been coming back to quite a bit this year, which is so interesting because, again, this year marks 10 years of keeping the weight loss. And this also, the weight off, and this also marks 10 years of my business. I started my business in April of 2014. And now here we are, April 2024. So yeah, I can't believe it. And I appreciate all of you guys for following along, for supporting me for all this time. I super, super appreciate it. But all of that to say, back to the lady that I met, this most recent lady that I met, her and I went ahead and set up a blueprint call. And when I told her about the blueprint call, she was so hyped. And it made me think, I do not be telling y'all about stuff that could really help y'all. Because she was like, yes, like we have a call on Thursday. She was not playing any games. She took my next available spot. So I was like, if she is so like wanting to do this, I need to be talking about the blueprint call more. I know that all of you guys cannot work with me one-on-one. I know that it may not be in the budget for everybody to do one-on-one coaching. And I also know that some people, that's just not your vibe. Like you're just not trying to work with somebody one-on-one. So the blueprint call is great because it's kind of like coaching from afar. It is a coaching call. It's 2 hours long. It is intense. It's a lot. I ask you, if you have any labs, you can bring those. I can have my RD take a look at them before we have our call, as long as you submit them in time. But we go over everything. What are you currently doing? What are you currently struggling with? Where do you get stuck? What is your actual schedule Monday through Friday? I'm talking about by the time you leave the call, you know exactly what you're doing on Monday. You know exactly what you're going to eat. You know exactly what your workout is going to be, right? So it's kind of a way to give you a blueprint, which is why it's called Blueprint Call, of what exactly you should be doing so that you can then take that, do it on your own, come back, tell me how it's been going, and then we'll have another one. So like with this lady, we decided that we're going to do them every other month. I have another lady who I first met with in December. We're about to have our second meeting. So for her, she's going to do it once a quarter, right? So I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going to make it mandatory to do it a certain amount of time, of like what we're going to do with it. But for now, it seems to be working every other month or once a quarter. So the blueprint call is $200. If you're interested in it, just send me a DM that says blueprint and I will send you the link to go ahead and read more about the call and also schedule the call. But I highly, highly recommend this. Again, if you're somebody who's like, look, I cannot afford to do one-on-one coaching right now, but I need to do something and I don't want to just be sitting around not doing anything before summer, not knowing that I'm going to get to summer and be upset that I didn't get to my goal, then this is something that is for you. And this is especially for you if outside of just losing weight for summer, in the back of your mind or even in the forefront, you know that you really need to work on your overall health in general. Then this is also a fantastic call for you because we are going to break all of that stuff down. So whatever it is that you're confused about, or if you're somebody who's ever been like, I just want to tell you everything that's going on with me and see if you can figure out what it is, this is the time to do it, because I can look at something again, just like I looked at this lady and immediately knew she had hormonal imbalance just because I looked at her, right? So when you've been doing something for a long time, you can look at stuff and tell. Like, case in point, real quick. Last week I was having an issue with my lock. I have an automatic lock on my front door, so I can open it from my phone and stuff like that. And it wasn't like there was something that was wrong with the little bolt that goes in or whatever. So me, I was like, let me go ahead and try to like fix it. Like it's just unaligned. I'm like, I can unscrew it, do this and that. I want to say I spent like an embarrassing amount of time working on that, maybe 2 hours. Okay, like please, okay. Now, mind you guys, I'm in Mexico. It is a little different, meaning that like everybody owns a business out here, meaning that it's a lot. When I looked up locksmith, I'm telling you, it was probably three on my street. Okay. I text this guy. I'm like, hey, I have this electronic lock. Like, can you come take a look at it? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, where are you located? I told him. He said, I'll be there in an hour. I said, okay. This man came and left in 15 minutes. I said, this man came and left in 15 minutes. And it was a lesson. And it is a lesson that when somebody is the professional, you let them be the professional and stop trying to figure out stuff on your own. So again, if you're somebody who is not wanting to figure out things on your own anymore, you don't want to spend 2 hours doing something somebody could have told you in 15 minutes, right? That could completely change everything. And that also would be so much less stressful for you. Then you need to look into a blueprint call. So again, just DM me blueprint. But anyway, I hope this helped you guys today. I guess I should wait. If you guys have questions, do you have questions? If you have questions, please let me know. And I'll scroll up real quick to see if I missed anything. Fit to Live said, yeah, we are. I don't know what you were agreeing with, girl, but okay. Anything, ladies? Any questions, comments, concerns? Also, if you do want to do one-on-one coaching, I do have spots. If you do want to do one-on-one coaching, I have spots open for spring. You can apply at cookiemiller.com. It's also linked in my bio to go straight to the application. Or if you want to ask questions before you apply, then you can definitely just send me a DM. All right, y'all. Thanks for coming in today. Bye.